Have you ever wondered what happens when the line between this world and the next begins to blur? Tonight, we'll step into 10 ghost stories and eerie encounters so chilling that they'll make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. From ruthless killers to haunted places that refuse to let go of their secrets, these tales will show you that sometimes the truth is far more terrifying than any fiction. Are you ready to confront the darkness? Number 1. The Monster of the Andes. Imagine walking through a remote village in the mountains of Colombia, unaware that a man as monstrous as Pedro Lopez is lurking nearby. Known as the Monster of the Andes, Lopez confessed to over 300 murders, each more horrifying than the last. The authorities couldn't believe that a single human being could be capable of such evil. The indigenous communities he targeted were left shattered, their sense of security forever destroyed. Even more terrifying is the fact that Lopez managed to escape prison in 1998. Despite a worldwide manhunt, he vanished, slipping back into the shadows. Was he ever truly human, or something far darker? To this day, whispers circulate that the Monster of the Andes could still be out there, waiting for his next victim. Every step you take in those desolate mountain paths could bring you closer to a monster who refuses to die. Number 2. The Amityville Horror. It's one thing to hear a ghost story, it's another to live through it. For the Lutz family, their nightmare began in December 1975 when they moved into a house in Amityville, New York. They didn't know that Ronald DeFeo Jr. had brutally murdered his family there just a year before. Soon they were plagued by a series of terrifying events: strange odors, freezing cold spots, and walls that oozed a thick, green slime. Their daughter spoke to an imaginary friend with glowing red eyes, and George Lutz would wake up at precisely 3:15 a.m., the exact time of the DeFeo murders. The family fled the house after just 28 days, convinced they'd been tormented by evil spirits. Skeptics question their story, but the house's dark history refuses to fade. If you were offered a chance to spend one night in that house, would you accept? Number 3. The Haunting of the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester was no ordinary widow. Haunted by the belief that the souls of those killed by her husband's invention, the Winchester rifle, were coming for her, she began constructing a mansion that would confuse and trap these spirits. The Winchester Mystery House, as it's now known, is a labyrinth of doors that open into walls, staircases that lead to nowhere, and rooms built with no apparent purpose. Visitors today report hearing footsteps in empty hallways, whispers coming from the walls, and cold, unseen hands brushing against them. Some claim to have seen the ghost of Sarah Winchester herself, forever wandering the corridors of the house she built to keep her fears at bay. But did her efforts work? Or did she trap herself in a never-ending cycle of torment? Number 4. The Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short's brutal murder is a story that still sends shivers down the spine of Los Angeles residents. Found in a vacant lot, her body was drained of blood, and her face was slashed into a hideous smile. Despite a massive investigation, her killer was never caught, and the case remains one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. But some say the Black Dahlia isn't at rest. There have been numerous sightings of a woman fitting her description in the area where her body was found, wandering as if searching for the justice she never received. Could it be that Elizabeth's restless spirit will never find peace until her killer is brought to light? Number 5. The Boy in the Box. Imagine the heartbreak of discovering a young boy's body discarded in a cardboard box, nameless and abandoned. For decades, the Boy in the Box was a mystery that haunted Philadelphia, as authorities struggled to identify him or his killer. Despite countless efforts and advances in forensic technology, it wasn't until 2020 that the boy's name was finally revealed. But even with his identity known, the questions remained: who killed him, and why? Some believe the boy's spirit lingers near the site where he was found, seeking the answers he was denied in life. Paranormal investigators have reported hearing faint cries in the night and feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness when they visit the location. What kind of world do we live in, where a child can be forgotten for so long? What if the ghosts of those who met tragic ends never truly left? Are they waiting in the shadows, desperate to tell their stories, or are they seeking something else, something far more chilling? Number 6. The Villisca Axe Murders. In 1912, a quiet home in Villisca, Iowa, became the site of one of the most gruesome murders in history. 8 people, including 6 children, were bludgeoned to death with an axe while they slept. The house remained unsold for years, and locals began to report strange occurrences: lights flickering, children's laughter echoing through empty rooms, and shadowy figures moving in the corners. Today, the Villisca Axe Murder House is a popular spot for ghost hunters. But those who dare to spend the night often leave before dawn, claiming they felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the spirits of the victims were reliving their final moments. Would you have the courage to stay where such darkness lingers? Number 7. The Lonely Hearts Killer. Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck appeared to be ordinary people. They weren't. They were serial killers who preyed on lonely women, using personal ads to lure their victims. Once they gained their trust, they stole everything and, in some cases, took their lives. Even more unsettling is the fact that some of the women had no idea of the danger they were in until it was too late. Fernandez and Beck were executed in 1951, but the echoes of their crimes still haunt us today. Some say that their spirits linger in the prison where they were held, forever bound to the place where their monstrous acts were finally stopped. What if the souls of killers never truly find rest? Could their dark energy continue to infect the places they once walked, leaving traces of their evil behind? Number 8. The Abandoned Asylum. There's something undeniably eerie about abandoned asylums. One such place, left to decay for decades, is said to be haunted by the souls of the patients who suffered and died there. A group of friends decided to explore this asylum one night, hoping to debunk the ghost stories. They never returned. Witnesses have reported hearing desperate screams coming from the building and seeing shadowy figures at the windows. Locals warn anyone who dares to enter the spirits of the asylum patients are still waiting for someone to help them, or perhaps, to join them. Number 9. The Cabin in the Woods. The cabin was supposed to be an escape from the chaos of everyday life. But for one family, it became a nightmare they could never wake up from. An ancient diary revealed the cabin's dark past. Its former owner had gone mad, driven to suicide by a malevolent presence that tormented him night and day. The family experienced the same terror: the whispers, the slamming doors, the feeling of being watched. They fled the cabin in the dead of night, but they left something behind. What was it that followed them home? And will it ever let them go? Number 10. The Doll Maker. In a small village, there was once a doll maker whose creations were so lifelike they seemed to move on their own. The villagers whispered that he had made a deal with the devil, trapping souls inside his dolls. One day, the doll maker disappeared, but his dolls remained. A young girl's parents purchased one for her, despite the warnings. That night, they found her dead, with her face twisted in fear, and the doll was nowhere to be found. Some say the doll maker's spirit continues to search for new souls, always crafting, always waiting. If you ever find one of his dolls, will you heed the warnings, or will you become the next victim? These 10 true horror stories are not just tales of the past. They are a haunting reminder that evil exists, both in the world we can see and the one just beyond our reach. As you turn off the lights tonight and try to sleep, remember these stories and ask yourself, is it all just your imagination, or is something lurking in the shadows, waiting to be discovered? If you found these stories chilling, make sure to like, subscribe, and share for more tales that delve into the darkness. And always remember, sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones that live within us. The text has been formatted into coherent paragraphs as requested.